Welcome, welcome, boys. This is a sponsored product review. The kind folks at OXILAM Auto Accessories reached out to me and asked if I could do a review of some of their LED lights. And I said, I most certainly can. So I checked and decided on these H7s that they have to offer. If you look in the box, that's what will be in there. But these are some of the other offerings that they have. H1, H3, H8, 9003, 9005 is another common bulb. But H7 is what we're going with, and we'll be putting them in a 2003 Lincoln Town Car. This side for the low beam. That's the high beam, but we're not going to worry about that. H7s fit the low beams on these. H7 is a single filament bulb, which means if you had a headlight that had low beam and high beam, two filaments, that would be like a 9005. But as you see, this is a headlight, and it has a separate bulb for the high beam. So single filament is what we'll be installing. My Camaro here would be an example of a dual filament bulb, where there's only one headlight housing. It has the low beam and the high beam. And here's another example of a single filament bulb, where you can see the low beam on the left is its own housing and light bulb. And the one on the right is the high beam. This is on my BMW. The only difference between that and the town car is the left low beam is clearly a xenon high intensity discharge, whereas the high beam on the right is a standard halogen. And then this is another example of a dual filament bulb. This is on my 74 Beetle. There is one bulb in this housing with two filaments, one for low beam and then one for high beam. So just make sure you know which bulb your car has before you order some, so you get the correct bulbs for your vehicle. So here's the box. Got some literature in here. You can read at your own convenience. I'm sure it's how to install the bulbs, but that's pretty easy to figure out. So here's what we have here. We have a chip on either side, positive and negative only, because there is only one filament, if you will, low beam only. If you had a product that had three, then that would be the dual filament, where one's positive, one's negative, and the other would be the high beam power. So you'd either have power going to the low beam or power going to the high beam, and then always a constant ground. So we're going to plug these in. If when you plug yours in, the bulb does not work, just rotate it 180 degrees. These LEDs are polarity sensitive. So whereas a normal incandescent bulb, it doesn't matter which position you put it in, the current can flow. LEDs, that is not the case. So if you plug them in and they don't work immediately, just rotate it 180 degrees. What I do like about these is we do not have any fans or moving parts that can go bad. This is simply a solid state design with big heat sinks to dissipate the heat. Okay, and showing the difference between your halogens and the OXILAM LED, those were pretty obvious, but you might also, like I mentioned earlier, these are solid state. So this is an LED. This is the same. This is an H7, but with a fan on the back. And look how much larger this thing is. It's pretty obnoxious how much bigger it is. And with that said, you also have the complexity of this moving part. So this actually, this fan cools it, but that also, one, takes power, but two, is an extra component for which to fail. So it could be the LEDs are fine, but this fan fails and it's going to overheat and then stop working. So that's another reason you may want to consider this style OXILAM LED with the solid state design. Okay, and this is the back of our removed headlight assembly. As we can see, the current LED that's in there, positive and negative. Positive side is going to be this greenish wire, negative is the black wire. Okay, so to get that out, unplugged here, twist and pull for our old LED. Now I want you to take note of the direction the reflectors are in a car like this. So see how the reflectors have vertical lines in them? And that's the same for the Camaro. The lines are vertical. And the reason I'm mentioning that is because if you look at this bulb, they are kind enough to give us two different orientations. So you can have the chips to the left and right, or the chips up and down. Now, if the chips, for this car, they need to be facing left and right because the lines for the reflector are vertical. So this is going to be set in like so. And that's because you have a chip on the left hitting the left side, and the chip on the right hitting the right side. And the reason I mention that's important is because here is a regular halogen bulb. See, the filament inside can shine 360 degrees. It can shine all around through the glass and illuminate the whole housing. Whereas this LED, this chip cannot shine through a solid object. So that's why you have to have two chips, so that when it's in here with the chips facing left and right, this chip can illuminate this side of the reflector housing, that chip can illuminate that side of the reflector housing, so you get a good consistent beam. Wouldn't matter with this glass halogen. So if we were to put them the other way, if we were to orient it 90 degrees the other direction, what would happen is now you got a chip on the top and a chip on the bottom, and it's going to create this weird triangle type pattern. And I'll show you that when it turns nighttime. I'll actually put one of these in this way, and then on the other housing I'll have it rotated 90 degrees, and you'll see the difference. And that way if you put them in and they look kind of funny, you're gonna have to rotate it 90 degrees so that it looks correct. And this is a bit of a peek with the new OXILAM LED installed. So you can see there are those little triangles you see on the top and the bottom there, and if you have the beam rotated incorrectly 90 degrees, you would see those triangles where they shouldn't be. But I'll show you at night what we have going on. Okay, and this is the passenger side bulb only, which I do have oriented correctly, where the chips are facing left and right. So notice this beam pattern. And then this is the driver's side only, which I have intentionally oriented up and down. And as you see, this beam pattern is crap. So this is what happens if you orient the bulbs in the wrong direction. You get these weird scattered beam things. So again, this is incorrect, and this is correct. So now I'm going to orient both beams so they're correct, so you can see what these actually look like properly installed at night. Okay, and I want you to really pay attention to how the halogen bulbs do illuminate the road. And there is a bit of focus point in the middle, but it gets washed out very easily to the left and right, and you can't see all that well. Whereas the LED does have a much brighter focal point, and it's just brighter in general all the way around. So instead of just illuminating the road so you see there's a road there, you can actually see what is on the road because it is that much brighter. Okay, boys, and that about covers it for this video. A few takeaways to remember. If your bulb is not illuminated, these are polarity sensitive, so reverse polarity. If you don't like the way the beam looks, it's scattered all weird and not producing a proper beam pattern for you to see, rotate the chips so that they are in the correct orientation relative to your reflectors. Again, I would like to thank OXILAM for sponsoring this video and providing me with these H7 LEDs for testing and review. Go to the link below in the pinned comment and the description box. Go to their store, check out all their different offerings, get the correct bulbs for your car, and when you use that link, they'll know I sent you, get your discount, and then I also get a small commission off of your purchase. So I hope this helped. Hope you enjoyed the video. Catch you boys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Peace.